So a few things. Respectfully, that's bat crazy. Everything you just said. Respectfully.
Immigration is a big issue from us because the system is really not working for anybody.
Thanks to, like I said, people like you, thanks to all this independent media, we could get the truth. And through corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and we finally could see what's really going on. They can't hide it because you're going straight to the people.
You know, you guys, it's not even like watching news. It's just watching truth. You know, it's just watching, like, not just speaking truth to power, but speaking truth to people.
Bernie Sanders won Nevada. As I said, there's no way around it. He absolutely won.
You to go back to
Saudi Arabia, and I've been here my family well before the Civil War. I had two brothers fight in Iraq, and they told me that they don't have a problem with my religion because that's what they fought for, was the freedom of America.
Just that, just holding up, taking it one day at a time. Just one day at a time. As you can see, we just got through the holiday, so it's definitely, her presence was definitely missed. So yeah.
And even here in Cleveland, there were people who, even some of these progressives were saying they weren't going to go to the Browns games because some of the players said they would kneel.
Tell me, what do you think? Do you think that's right? No. So what are you going to do?
The man turned and saw me there recording his racism that he was displaying right out in the open, and he lunged at me in attack.
No, talking to this guy here. Okay.
My knees were skinned, my elbows, my arm. The phone itself was completely, absolutely destroyed.
Just stopping us,
BLM's come in here and try to rip the flag and stuff. They threw paint on it.
The ideology of Antifa just attacked us. Yeah. The ideology of, the fake Antifa that Joe Biden says.
There's also a personal aspect for me. My mother worked here for 24 years. She was the residency coordinator of the neurology department, and this used to be a fantastic place.
The government's giving more help to the Fortune 500 companies than the corner grocery store.
Because we have a shortage of hospitals, or hospitals are closing all over the country, in rural areas and also in our urban areas, and it is immoral in every single way.
Talking about shutting down a major hospital and converting that property into hotels or condos or some other real estate opportunity.
If we had Medicare for all, it wouldn't be happening, period. That's just the end of the story.
You're factually wrong. The state legislature is Republican. What I don't understand is you keep saying they're going to have to recount it because there's fraud, but you can't actually explain where the fraud is, what the fraud is.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't endorse that.
So a few things. Respectfully, that's bat crazy. Everything you just said. Respectfully.
Immigration is a big issue from us because the system is really not working for anybody.
Thanks to, like I said, people like you, thanks to all this independent media, we can get the truth. And through corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and we finally can see what's really going on. They can't hide it because you're going straight to the people.
You know, you guys, it's not even like watching news. It's just watching truth, you know. It's just watching, like, not just speaking truth to power, but speaking truth to people.
Bernie Sanders won Nevada. As I said, there's no way around it. He absolutely won.
Here to go back to
Saudi Arabia. And I've been here my family well before the Civil War. I had two brothers fighting Iraq. And they told me that they don't have a problem with my religion because that's what they fought for, was the freedom of America.
Just that, just holding up, taking it one day at a time. Just one day at a time. As you can see, we just got through the holiday, so it's definitely, her presence was definitely missed. So, yeah.
And even here in Cleveland, there were people who, even some of these progressives were saying they weren't going to go to the Browns games because some of the players said they would kneel.
Tell me, what do you think? Do you think that's right? No. So what are you gonna do?
The man turned and saw me there recording his racism that he was displaying right out in the open, and he lunged at me in attack.
No, I'm talking to this guy here. Okay.
My knees were skinned, my elbows, my arm. The phone itself was completely, absolutely destroyed.
Just stopping us,
we had a couple BLMs come in here and try to rip the flag and stuff. They threw paint on it.
The ideology of Antifa just attacked us. Yeah. The ideology of, the fake Antifa that Joe Biden says.
There's also a personal aspect for me. My mother worked here for 24 years. She was the residency coordinator of the neurology department, and this used to be a fantastic place.
The government's giving more help to the Fortune 500 companies than the corner grocery store.
Because we have a shortage of hospitals, or hospitals are closing all over the country, in rural areas and also in our urban areas, and it is immoral in every single way.
Talking about shutting down a major hospital and converting that property into hotels or condos or some other real estate opportunity.
If we had Medicare for all, it wouldn't be happening, period. That's just the end of the story.
You're factually wrong. The state legislature is Republican. What I don't understand is you keep saying they're going to have to recount it because there's fraud, but you can't actually explain where the fraud is, what the fraud is.
Yeah, exactly. I can't, but there's a lot of fraud going on.
We give a about you, too, sis. That's nothing you tell them, man. I give a about you. They don't give a about you.
Why to you is it such an infringement on freedom to wear a mask? That's what I'm asking.
It's annoying as hell, that's why.
Is it more annoying than death? But they have tried to ban transgenders from the military, other restrictions, employment discrimination against transgenders.
Well, that has stopped now since the Supreme Court ruling.
Right, but President Trump is the one who instituted it.
Right, but he was opposed to people joining the military for the sole purpose of being funded for sex change therapy.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Was following me outside. Was following me outside. I have credentials. I can show it to you. Is this how you treat the press? Do you see what's going on here? And then somebody came up to my cameraman without saying a word and just ripped his press thing off.
Look, man, I'm not happy at all. $600 million is not enough, because how do you put a price tag on my kids' brains, their organs, my heart, like all of the stuff that's happened because of this, the layered trauma, the deaths. There is literally no way to put a dollar sign on it.
Can you answer people 6 years later, is the water back to normal here?
Absolutely not.
The DNC just reached out to all the other candidates, and they pretty much just conspired to support Joe Biden. And just intervening with the democratic process.
The brotherhood is great, but we have something we're fighting for.
That's why I joined the Proud Boys. So like, the Brotherhood is great, but I joined it because I wanted to beat up some commies, man. Like.
So we started to shut down city councils every single Wednesday for about close to 3 years on issues concerning houseless.
Black Lives Matter wants to eliminate police because actually the founders, if you read their page, they claim to be 3 lesbian separatists who hate black men. If you remove the police, they hate the nuclear family and they don't like heterosexuality.
Depressed. There's no other way to feel. There's no other way to feel except depressed, except angry, except upset, except not surprised. Unfortunately.
The live stream earlier, it was completely peaceful. People were blowing bubbles, people were squeaking rubber ducks. Absolutely peaceful. So you're the head of Proud Boys, you're from Florida. Chairman, okay. So what do you think about this event? Like, what was your goal here?
Our number one goal was really to get, and we could see it right behind you guys, really to get the police to do their job and to offer them the tools in order to get them to do their job. Now they have the ability to use CS gas, which is really important to us.
It's time that we get resources that we need. It's time that I get a full-time nurse at my school. It's time that I get a full-time counselor and resources in my community.
And the invisible prison of wealth inequality in itself that you talk about all the time. Why would Rachel Maddow ever, get out with a camera and microphone and put herself into that?
Chris Smalls is leading the march. Chris Smalls was an Amazon worker in Staten Island, New York, who was fired for trying to organize for safety.
He got rid of illegal, what's it called? He deported more people than any other president. And Trump.
Prior to him, yeah.
So Trump is a good old boy. Like, he just loves America, and he's not into identity politics. I'm not,
It's about the lives that are forever changed by these fires.
Poisoning the news that we are fed with those tainted sources. All we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative is the truth of mass suffering, injustice, and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo. To oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
All right.
Hey there, Jordan.
Hey, everybody.
With Jen going live to 5 people.
Oh, more than that. We appreciate all 10 of you.
Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we've graduated from YouTube's naughty list to YouTube's no-fly list, but all of a sudden, we got 118,000 subscribers. We're going live to poor John was out there yesterday covering the George Floyd protest for the 1-year anniversary. It was more like a march, really powerful speeches. And what was he? I think his peak audience went up to like 130. Not that, we appreciate the people that watched, but it was tough sleddings. And now
Yeah, and that's that's the same thing that I was live in DC a few times this past weekend from really important events. protests with Free Palestine protesters that were protesting against the money that gets funneled through Fairfax County, Virginia, which is a DC, metro area, like DC suburb area. Over $20 billion gets funneled through Fairfax County, and a third of it goes to the Department of Defense. And a lot of that money goes towards Israel's, surveillance, Israel's, weapons manufacturing, and our weapons manufacturing. And so it's a huge deal, and a lot of people don't know about it. I also reported of Amazon protesters that were in front of the BlackRock building in DC. And my audience, same thing that happened to John. Normally, when John was live with Andrew Brown protests, Dante Wright protests, we'd gotten up to, what do you think, Jordan, like 5,000 viewers, as we should. And then all of a sudden, this month of May, YouTube has throttled us like we've never been throttled before. We are posting things that within their first hour are getting maybe 50 views, 100 views, and 100 live viewers. And it's absurd.
And if you look at the bottom, I don't even know if I believe that there's only 78 people watching, because we sent out the text message too. I mean, we have a text message list of what, like over 1,000 people. So
we have almost 2,000 people on our text message list.
Yeah. So basically, pretty quickly, we already have 80 people watching, and the same amount of people watching to likes, which just usually doesn't happen. Typically, your audience goes up, there's less likes, and I got to push people to like. But already, there's the same amount of people watching that have liked. It just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And honestly,
and let me fill you guys, sorry, not to interrupt Jordan, but let me fill you guys in on something, because Jordan was away on a much deserved honeymoon and break for a lot of May. And this has been just such an eye-opening month for as far as YouTube is concerned. So as a lot of you hopefully know, I don't know if you know because of what YouTube has been doing, but we had Justin Jackson on as a guest host. And that's something that I want to do more, is have these great guest hosts on, because it's great. It gives them a chance to promote their channels. It gives our audience a chance to get a different perspective. So I think it's a great idea. We love Justin. He was awesome. So Justin Jackson, in promoting his guest appearance to his audience, which is vast, he's in LA Charger. He's, very well known. He has a great audience on his social channels. So in promoting his appearance on his social channels, in promoting his appearance across all of our social channels, across Jordan's social channels, that across all of those, that's hundreds of thousands of people, in promoting his appearance to our text list and to our email list. So we did promotions before he was live. We did promotions while he was live. Specifically during his live, I sent out 2 text notifications, 2 emails to our email list, multiple times, probably 3 times per social account. I promoted that he was live. We got up to 300 viewers. 300 viewers for a Justin Jackson hosted live stream on our account. So this tells me that not only are we being suppressed, but I really think that it is absolutely impossible to promote a live stream of that caliber to very interested people, to a very hungry audience that is interested in this sort of thing, and have it only get up to 300 viewers. So I also think, and I don't have hard evidence of this, but this is enough evidence for me to be very honest, I also think YouTube is fudging the live numbers. So go ahead, Jordan. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's possible. And we're already seeing, I've already counted 5 or 6 people saying no notification, no notification. They only came here through our text message. So it's frustrating. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. We are trying different things, but at the end of the day, as Jimmy has said on his live stream, unfortunately, YouTube is kind of the main platform, and people's minds have been kind of trained to go to YouTube among Facebook and other places. So we really have this unbelievable information war going on. And it seems like, and I've said this before, it seems like YouTube every so often just kind of like cranks down on the lever a little more. But it's frustrating. We just brought Colin on, you know, more permanently with us. He was part-time. Now he's working his normal schedule. It's not just us who suffer. It's these important stories that why we exist is to cover them. But if people don't know we're live or don't see our videos after, it's frustrating. And yeah, we are on Rockfin, on Twitch. We're on a lot of different places. So it's not for a lack of being on other places. But yeah, YouTube should be ashamed of itself. And honestly, you know, I'm getting more and more messages from people. I got one today, actually. Like, it's not like at this point, progressive media might have to come together. I mean, it seems that you know, there's a lot of egos involved, and some bigger channels might not have as much drive to merge with smaller channels. But at this point, based on what they're doing, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think Jimmy said he used to grow like, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers a day, and now he's growing like 100 a day. We'd be happy to grow anything right now. We're losing every day. I know Kyle has been suppressed. It's really disheartening. I don't want to be all, you know, doom and gloom, but it's really disheartening. Jen, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? They're saying I'm having some audio issues.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I unmuted myself. I didn't realize I was muted. Okay, so yeah, we've heard from other progressive YouTubers that they've been experiencing the same thing. Humanist Report, Abby Martin, all of these names that you know and love, they're having the same issues. So it's a very disturbing trend. It's something that it's not sustainable, and obviously Jordan and I have been talking about this a lot. And you know, I'm not, you know, it as discouraging as it is, I always say we went into this starting over 3 years ago knowing that YouTube was going to screw us over. They always have. For as long as we've been around, we missed the golden days of YouTube. Sorry to us. We weren't around in the days of Kyle Kalinske and TYT that were able to grow and really succeed due to the fact that YouTube used to be much, much more friendly to independent journalists and independent voices. We missed that gravy train. But having come from the business world, the internet marketing world, the digital marketing world that I've come from, I've seen this happen time and time again with different platforms. So it's not a surprise to me. We've never hitched our wagon to YouTube as the be all end all. I feel really sorry for those who have. Those who said, okay, I'm going to be a YouTube star, or I'm going to be a journalist who reports on YouTube, and that's it. I'm going to be successful, and that's it. It might have worked for a little while, but that's not a business. That's not a media company. That's just not how things work. You can never rely on any third party to build your business. You can never rely on any third party for anything. So I'm not sad. I'm not laying in my bed crying about it. It's like, okay, this is just something to figure out. What we know is we have you guys. We have you guys who are hungry for this content. You're hungry for real in-field and investigative reporting. You want real journalism. You're not out here begging for Jake Tapper to give you information. That's not what you want. And there are so many out there just like you. While Jordan was gone, I screenshotted several messages from folks, and we have this all to say, oh, Jordan, I didn't know you were back. Meaning, I didn't know you were back from TYT. And it's like, oh God, we've been, you know, status quo has existed for 3 years, and Jordan's been, you know, so-called back for much longer than that. So it's a matter of social media suppression. And Status quo is not YouTube. Status quo is not Rockfin. Status quo is is not anything else but status quo. We are our own thing. We are our own company. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but we've had companies come to us and say, hey, can you kind of be exclusive with us? Can you do exclusive things for us and get rid of your own thing? Get rid of your own membership. And outright, like, sorry, I tried not to laugh in anyone's face, but no, we will never do that. We will never do that. We're grateful for every opportunity, for every platform that is willing to give us a voice, but no, we're our own business. We're always going to grow our own email list. We're always going to grow our own text message list. We're always going to have our own membership, our own sustaining membership. And that is because you cannot rely on anybody else to give you, your voice. So this is a puzzle to solve. And this is what Jordan and I have talked about. YouTube is a means to an end. Right now, it is the biggest platform out there for video content creators. Some people are like, oh, just get rid of YouTube. Just stop streaming there. No, that's stupid. That's also dumb. We're gonna squeeze YouTube for all it's worth. That's showing it to the man as far as I'm concerned. We're gonna get all of the viewers we can. We're gonna funnel them into our own email list, our own text list, our own thing. And we're going to show the people who are like you guys, the viewers who are like you guys and who want this real content, this real reporting. And we're going to bring you guys along to wherever we end up going. 20 years from now, who knows what'll exist? Status quo will exist. YouTube, God knows what'll happen to it. Who knows? It'll probably be like Jake Tapper, like talking about God knows what. And Brian Stelter talking about God knows what. Who knows? But we'll be here. In whatever form it takes, whatever form it needs to be. There have been so many in every iteration of history. There have been journalists handing out and activists handing out their pamphlets in the alleyways and having to get around suppression and having to get around the powers that be who didn't want the truth out. And that's no surprise that we're dealing with this right now. It sucks. It really sucks. And it really hurts that our income from YouTube has gone down so dramatically. I'm not going to beat around the bush that we're hurting financially. Our YouTube income has dropped dramatically. That's the part that hurts because we do need new infield equipment. We do need to pay people like Colin and like our freelancers like John and like Tina. We do need those things. But that doesn't mean we just go away and cry because YouTube is crushing us, which they're really crushing us. We're live to 125 people right now when it should be 500 or 1,000. But we're going to figure this out. And one of the ways that we're figuring this out right now is Colin is incredible. And so he's been helping us get started on Streamlabs, which a lot of you have been screaming at us in a very nice way to get our act together and get on Streamlabs for a long time now. So Streamlabs, we're live there right now, statusquo.live. And you could go there right now. We're live there as we speak. And we're actually doing some fundraising there right now. So if you go to statusquo.live, you can help us reach our $500 goal for this stream. It's a stretch goal for sure, especially to a very small audience. But you can go watch us there. We're going to start directing people there because screw you, YouTube. Screw you. And we're also live on Twitch, twitch.tv/statusquo. We're live on Rockfin. We're live on Twitter. Once Instagram gets their act together with their API, we'll start going live on Instagram. And whatever happens, we're uploading stuff to TikTok. Whatever happens, we'll roll with the punches. We'll keep reporting. And that's what it's going to take. And we appreciate all of you. Thomas Horter, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys are the ones. You guys are who we do this for. And those whose stories we're capturing. And we have so much important content, and we know that there's an audience for this. And wherever there's an audience, wherever there's a hunger for the content and what we provide, there's always a way. So that is my very long-winded way of saying, I don't care what you do to us, YouTube. We're going to survive and we're going to thrive.
Yeah, I'll be real quick because obviously we want to move on to the topics, but Jen's a little bit more optimistic than I am.
Don't be a Debbie Downer, Jordan.
Yeah, a bit more optimistic than I am. I honestly think it's at a point where you need progressives to come together and start something else. I really do think that because there's no accountability, and honestly, YouTube's CEO just openly admitted what they're doing. I mean, it's not even a secret anymore, and we can't expect mainstream media to say anything about it. They don't care that competitors basically are being throttled and suppressed and hidden. They don't give a damn. They probably are asking YouTube to hide us. So yeah, I don't know the answer, but what I do know is let's just be real, no disrespect, but there's channels that have 10,000, 12,000 subscribers that are getting more live stream views than us. Good for, more power to them. But obviously that doesn't make sense. If channels that have 10,000, 12,000 subscribers are getting more live stream audiences than a channel with 118,000, I mean, it's just clear. I don't even think our live stream is going to maybe 20% of our subscribers, maybe 20%. And that's not even to mention.
I hate to break it to you, but 144 is way less than 20%, Jordan.
Save it again?
I said, I hate to break it to you, but 144 people is way less than 20% of 118,000.
I can't do math. My point is, there are channels with way less subscribers, maybe they started more recently, whatever, that are getting equal to, not more, views. I mean, some of them do more hot take kind of stuff, but it still doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. So we'll hope we will continue doing what we do. We know there's an audience for it, and hopefully YouTube takes their foot off our necks, but I'm not holding my breath. Somebody said, you're hurting your own analytics by running these massive videos, which are unwatchably long, and I'm glad what you told you a month ago and was ignored to work with others. No, I mean, we have long live streams that get 600, 700 live viewers, so that's not the issue. But thanks.
Yeah, everyone thinks that they have a suggestion. So obviously we cut up our videos into shorter clips. It's try running a media company. We appreciate everybody's thoughts, but it's simply not that simple. Colin, if you could show everybody our statuscoup.live page and how they could potentially be the very, very first one to get us kickstarted here with our fundraiser and our goal here to raise some money for some infield equipment. This is a great page. I'm so excited about Streamlabs. There are a lot of possibilities here, and they do take a lot less than YouTube, of course, which YouTube takes 30%. A lot of people don't realize this. 30%. We love the super chats. We love our super chatters. It's great and interactive, but Streamlabs goes through things like PayPal and their own payment processor. So yeah, you can see here we are also live on statuscoup.live. Very simple to remember, and you can go ahead and pop in any amount that you want to support us with. Colin is going to be in the field on Memorial Day. If you recall, we've been reporting on Marvin Scott III, who is yet another Black man who's been murdered at the hands of law enforcement. Marvin Scott, close to Dallas, was picked up at a shopping center, and the reports were that he was acting weird, and he was picked up with a bit of weed. Who cares? Who literally cares about anyone having weed these days, or at any time, but especially these days? So he was picked up. He was taken to the hospital for observation. They let him go. For what reason, I don't know. He was a diagnosed schizophrenic, And if he'd been a white person with schizophrenia and a bit of weed, nobody would have cared. But instead he was taken to jail, and he had a spit hood placed on him, and he was restrained with just horrific ways. And I don't want to speed up the story, but I do urge you to go back and look at my reporting on this. He ended up dead, murdered by jailers, by correctional officers. And so his family has been fighting for recognition, for justice. And so Colin, who lives in Texas, was able to go and because Status Quo has basically been one of the only, and definitely the only lately, national outlet to cover Marvin Scott III's story. He was able to get an interview with Lachey, Marvin's sister, and she doesn't give interviews to outlets. So this is what Status Quo brings to the table, is this kind of trust. So Colin did a fantastic interview with Lachey. So I urge you to check that out. But on Memorial Day, Colin, the 31st, Colin will be going back to the Dallas area. I believe it's called McKinney, Texas, and they're having a barbecue in honor of Marvin to bring more attention to his story. And we also have additional content to publish from Colin's time there, but he will be doing additional interviews and with organizers and with the family. So we need to be able to afford additional content to send Colin on stories like this. We are looking to hire an additional reporter in the Midwest area as well. We currently have one live view, which, if you don't know what a live view is, it is a unit that allows you to go in the field. You know, like CNN has their huge satellite trucks, which they take everywhere, and allows you to go live in the field. The live view is a compact backpack sort of unit, but it is tens of thousands of dollars, and it bonds different cell phone companies together, their signals together. But we will be in need of purchasing a lesser expensive device and cell phone plans to get signal out for another reporter. So we do have additional needs so that we can capture more stories like Marvin Scott's story. Remember, other reporters are not on this story. There are some great local journalists, local independent journalists, but no national. There are other stories like this coming out all the time. Ronald Green, that Jordan spoke about, that went 2 years. The AP, so I'm surprised. I mean, kudos to the AP for pursuing that story and getting the body cam footage. But how many stories are out there right now that are not told? How many stories are out there? And so that's what Status Quo wants to do. We want to be out there telling stories that are not told. If Status Quo hadn't been out there, if Colin hadn't gone to cover Marvin Scott's story and interviewing Lachey, Marvin's sister, how many of you would have known what had happened to Marvin? That's what we want to do. If you're at all able, please go to statusquo.live and please support us. All right. So I see that we have some folks who are supporting. Thank you so much. We have $105 towards our goal. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm not certain if we're able to see who. Colin, if you can tell us if we're able to see who has supported us through. Okay. Okay, so 1 second here as I go to the website. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this amazing support. This is so helpful and incredible. We have Easter Bob. Thank you so much for your support. $100 towards this amazing and important goal. And Firsty Ferret, our incredible and tireless Twitch moderator, $5 towards this goal. I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. You guys are the ones who make this happen. And can you imagine, to this very small and suppressed audience, look at you guys making this happen already. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Thanks for the super chat, Mountain Jam, who said, I tried the Streamlab donation, didn't work for me. I don't know why. It's working for 2 other people. So if you have any issues, you could email us, info@statuscoup.com, info@statuscoup.com. Yeah, we'll get back to the suppression and all that in a little bit. Smash the like button. If you haven't, share this live stream. Hopefully we can get a bigger audience, but for now, we'll keep it intimate. Obviously, we're going to start another mass shooting. This is in San Jose, California. Transit employees among 9 dead in shooting at San Jose rail yard. Public transit employee Samuel Cassidy opened fire on coworkers at the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority before taking his own life. He killed 8 people and then killed himself. So 9 people total. It happened early in the morning in San Jose at this rail yard. The shooter was identified as Samuel Cassidy, an employee for Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority. Quote, this is a horrific day for our city, and it's a tragic day for the VTA family, and our heart pains for the families and the coworkers because we know so many are feeling deeply this loss of their loved ones and their friends. Santa Clara County Sheriff Lori Smith said her deputies and San Jose police officers arrived quickly after the initial 911 calls. I don't really need to read the rest because they all basically read the same. You know, I wish I had a hot take, Jen, but I think this story kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of the other ones that we're going to talk about today. I think right now we really need a progressive revolt in this country on guns, on the economy, on Black lives, on justice in general. I hate to see, frankly, that, you know, I was on the campaign trail 2016, 2020. That progressive energy for Bernie, later on for AOC and others, I don't know. I just feel like the progressive movement right now is deflated and discombobulated. Maybe it's because people are naturally tired, but nothing's going to change in this country. I never thought Biden was going to be moved left, but I thought there would at least be a fight to try and make it happen. In the case of guns, obviously, it's a lot more the Republicans. But at this point, I mean, how many mass shootings do you think would have happened if not for COVID? I mean, once COVID was, you know, the cases were going down, all of a sudden the mass shootings started going up. It's just, I don't know any way to make it stop other than a massive protest movement called a general strike. But basically shutting down major parts of our economy for serious gun control, among other main topics. I really don't know any other way. At this point, I mean, I'm not blaming the squad or Bernie or anybody for this, but at this point, progressives should be saying no to certain bills, if not the Democrats at least ban the AR-15. At least do whatever they have to. I don't care if you have to get rid of the filibuster to get rid of, to have universal background checks. I don't know what gun this guy had. It didn't say in the story. I don't know what the issue was, but it's not just this shooting. It's all of them. It's all of them. I mean, I think I read a story that there were 12 mass shootings this weekend in America. So it's absolutely crazy to me. And it's also deflating because basically you have the corporate media framing Joe Biden as FDR, while he's, frankly, in terms of rhetorically what he said in the campaign, moving to the right. And progressives, you know, you get a fight from Cori Bush on police matters. You get a fight from Rashida Tlaib when it comes to Israel and Palestine. You get a fight from AOC on ICE and things like that. But on these things, and again, they're for gun control. It's not their fault. But we don't have a unified progressive movement to fight for all of it. I'm talking gun control. I'm talking $15 minimum wage. Everybody's deflated. And, yeah, the mass shootings are going to continue. Honestly, eight people were killed I think CNN covered it for a few hours, and then they started turning to a story about Donald Trump. I'm sure they'll go back to it in prime time, but obviously it will be out of the news by tomorrow based on our corporate media. So it's heinous. And, whatever. This guy he killed his coworkers, so I'm sure he was a disgruntled coworker, whatever. But how did he kill so many people so quickly? Why did he have access to guns? It's just very disheartening, Jen.
Yeah, and actually there's an update on not only who this guy is, but there are more questions as to why this person had guns. So the guy's name is Sam Cassidy. And so his ex-girlfriend is actually, they've done more digging. And so this reporting is out of the San Francisco Chronicle. But his girlfriend had filed court documents. And so he had, a restraining order against him earlier in the month. And so he had diagnosed mental health issues. And so obviously nothing against mental health issues. I have mental health issues. I have depression. I have generalized anxiety disorder. I have PTSD. So I'm not denouncing mental health issues. We all have them, but you have, or not we all, but many people have them. But you have to think about what that means for access to weapons. And in this case of Sam Cassidy, he had major mood swings as a result of having bipolar disorder, and he also had a drinking problem. So why did he have access to weapons? And so his ex-girlfriend said, on the record before this, that he would play mind games and he would sexually abuse her. And so, content warning, please, if you are a victim of sexual assault or if this is difficult for you to hear, please mute your audio. This is from the girlfriend. Several times during the relationship, he became intoxicated, enraged, and forced himself on me sexually, she wrote. During those episodes, she said, he would hold her arms to her side and force his weight on her. Cassidy was 6'1", 200 pounds, while the woman, she said, was 5'4" and 120 pounds. Cassidy tried to force anal intercourse on her several times. She would fight him off, and he would later apologize and promise to never do it again. She detailed another such incident in September 2008 when she said he pushed her on a bed and forced her to have sex with him. And Cassidy would become enraged when she would ask to meet with another person and ask what the extent of their relationship was, and also that Cassidy stole tools and equipment from his current and former employers, and so on. And so all of that is to say that in so many of these cases, it's not like there are not warning signs. It's not like there are not things that could have been in place to prevent this. He had diagnosed health issues. He was an alcoholic. There were court documents against him. He had a restraining order taken out against him. He was a rapist. He was, to put it very non-technically, he was a known bad, horrible person. Why was it so easy for him to have weapons, to have access to weapons, to use weapons? This is not a hard thing. We need to close loopholes. Basically, nobody except for complete maniacs disagree that we need increased background checks. We need tighter background checks. We need increased waiting times to purchase weapons. In no situation should it be fine to just buy a gun from the back of a car. In no situation should it be fine to just walk into a gun shop and buy a weapon, or to go to a convention and just buy a weapon. No, it's not okay. So why are Democrats, including progressives, not making this a priority? They talk a good game. Newsom's out there talking a good game right now and saying we're numb. Okay, sure. Sure, we are numb, and that's sad and that's horrible, and that's even more of a reason to stand up and do something, Newsom. That's even more of a reason to stand up and do something, Squad, Bernie, everybody. Stand up and do something. Every time this happens, which is all the time, I recount my stories of, Columbine and thinking, okay, well, I was in high school. This was 1999. It's like, okay, this is horrible and I'm scared and I'm in high school. And what if this happens? And watching the kid fall out of the window and then becoming obsessed with reading about this and how could this happen to kids my age? And then fast forward, my kid during Sandy Hook was in 6th grade. They locked down his school because a threat was called into his school. My kid was the same age. My oldest child was the same age at that time. Okay, in my head, this will never happen again, because what kind of psychotic freaks in the government would ever let this happen again? Of course they're going to fix it now. No, that was almost 10 years ago. No, they haven't fixed it. They haven't done anything. Then we had Vegas, Orlando, everything, count them. Hundreds and hundreds all the time. Nothing has happened. No one is doing anything. They all tweet, even the progressive ones. Oh, thoughts and prayers aren't enough. Thoughts and prayers aren't enough. Neither is saying thoughts and prayers aren't enough. Do something. Something has to be done. Nobody's doing anything. I don't even know what to say at this point. People aren't even protesting against this anymore because people simply are numb. No one's doing anything. Even the people.
Hey, thank you to the other folks donating on statuscoup.live. Let me update it. Fusty Ferret, Jorge, Magby Roman, $25. Easter Bob, $100. So we're at $140 raised so far. We got to raise more because God, is YouTube killing us. Look at this. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. 118,000 subscribers. We're like moving up 5 viewers every 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. But the last thing I'll say is it's all connected. It's all connected. Our government has been bought. We live in the United Corporations of America, and our government has been bought. And by the way, Democrats don't typically get criticized on this issue because it's obviously Republican extremism. But I don't know. Democrats have control right now. So if they viewed the fact that we're all sitting ducks, Biden and the Democrats viewed coronavirus very urgently, rightly so, because people were dying every single day. Well, you should treat the chance of people dying every single day with the same urgency. It's not different. The death count might be lower, but literally anybody in America has the chance to die at any time because we are awash in guns. So whether you have an acute situation like a pandemic going around, killing, at the height over 3,000 people a day, or you have a situation where people are, every week, every other day, you have 5 people dying, 6 people dying, 7 people dying. Not to mention the families that have to go on forever. At least, not that it's easy to lose someone during a pandemic. It's not easy to lose someone ever. But there's something about your loved one being, shot to death senselessly for no reason when the politicians could stop it. And frankly, I said this about Obama. Joe Biden, why aren't you storming the country and shaming these Republicans? I know physically, that wouldn't probably be the best look, Biden going around the country. But why are you trying to play nice with people that are completely fine with blood on their hands? If presidents like to say, my first job is to protect the country, the security of the nation. Well, if that's your first job, this is no different. I don't care if it's, in this case, a deranged person with mental health issues and obviously a sexual, a predator. or a white supremacist shooting people up, whatever. There's too many crazy people in this country who could get guns very easily. And it's, to me, it might not be the same threat as coronavirus, but all of us equally have the same threat of getting killed due to a mass shooting. Wherever you go, whether it's Walmart, Dunkin' Donuts, wherever you go, we all are sitting ducks. And it's terrible. And honestly, to me, among other things that the progressives, the squad, and the rest of them should be using their leverage to say, no, we're not going to give you our votes. This should be one of them. Get rid of the AR-15s, universal background checks. Frankly, they'll never do it because they're too worried about the next election. Removing some of the guns that are out there is in order. So till next time, unfortunately, till the next shooting. And by the way, the media is at fault too. The media is completely at fault. It is completely absurd that the media simply, at this point, moves on after. I mean, maybe they'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow. They'll be done with it by Friday. Might get a passing glance on the Sunday shows, but they'll move on. They won't challenge any Republican on air. By the way, the NRA is facing bankruptcy. So the NRA isn't the boogeyman it used to be. The NRA, a federal judge recently ruled that they can't file bankruptcies, so they have to face, I believe, criminal charges for financial fraud out of New York. So the NRA isn't the Goliath it once was. So really, I think Biden should have a lot of priorities, including frankly, a $20 minimum wage, but a $15 minimum wage. I'm not for a public option, but at least giving what you promised, and a whole lot of other things. But to me, if life is the most important, this should be at the top of the priority list. And by the way, contrary to propaganda, when Bill Clinton signed the assault weapons ban, mass shootings went down in this country. I rarely credit Bill Clinton, but that was one good thing he did, and mass shootings did go down. So anyway, anything else, Jen, before I move on?
No, it's just, obviously it's disheartening and frustrating, and yeah, I don't know. No words, really.
Keep it coming at statuscoup.live. It looks like our audience is slightly going up, so I tweeted YouTube is suppressing the hell out of us. If you don't know we're live, we're live. So maybe, by the way, Jen, my Twitter is being suppressed like holy hell also.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I wasn't tweeting for 3 weeks, so when you come back, maybe.
Well, you were tweeting.
Oh, I wasn't tweeting. You were tweeting.
Yeah.
You were tweeting. Okay, so moving on, Colin, if you can follow with me. So we know that the Democratic Party loves woke signaling. Their the Kente cloth?
Yeah.
The Kente cloth where they kneeled for George Floyd. Obviously, I think they're renaming certain buildings now, or renaming certain programs after George Floyd. And on the 1-year anniversary yesterday of George Floyd's murder, Nancy Pelosi made sure, in my view, in a creepy way, to make it seem like, she was, totally changing the world on behalf of George Floyd. So let's show the clip with Nancy Pelosi and George Floyd's daughter and the rest of George Floyd's family standing around with Nancy Pelosi, again, pretending that, no disrespect to George Floyd, that George Floyd has changed the world because now, the oceans have lifted and black people aren't going to get killed all over the country. Colin, if you could play that clip.
Gianna said, my daddy will change the world. And indeed, her prediction is coming true. And it's coming true because of so many people who worked so hard for decades to make it come true.
Did that play on the screen? I didn't see it.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I'm not seeing any of this on the screen. Oh, maybe it's because there's a delay. So
Yeah.
So basically, you have Pelosi touching the little girl's hair, which was kind of weird.
Right, which is not, that's a no-no.
Credit to the little girl for paying no attention to her, which I liked.
No, she did. Look at her face.
Oh, okay. Maybe
It's not okay.
maybe Nancy's got a little creepy Joe in her with the sniffing of the hair and all that, but that's another story. So she's saying, they like to use this term that George Floyd's daughter said, my daddy changed the world. They love saying that. And since then, Dante Wright, Andrew Brown, which, by the way, is a cover-up. I was on my honeymoon, but that video did not show Andrew Brown trying to use his car to attack police. It showed the opposite. They still haven't released all the body cam footage. It's a cover-up beyond words, and we were on the ground to cover it, thanks to you, in North Carolina. But now you have Ronald Green, as I said on Monday. How many other police cover-ups are there that we don't know about? The police didn't release this video of Ronald Green being strangled to death, saying, I'm afraid. Somebody else did. So how many more police cover-ups are there? How many more sergeants say or withhold their body cams? Because it just came out that in the case of Ronald Green, one of the main police officers there withheld his body cam for 2 years. But I want to show this from The Intercept because it kind of shows a little bit more. Congress misses symbolic deadline for police reform. Colin, if you could just control F it down to Senate negotiations on police reform. So this is from The Intercept. Senate negotiations on police reform started breaking down on May 9th when House Majority Whip James Clyburn told CNN that Democrats should open their minds to passing a measure that did not end qualified immunity, the legal doctrine that protects police officers from civil suits. So let's be clear. James Clyburn, who's Nancy Pelosi's right hand, it's the House Whip. While Nancy Pelosi is sitting there, using George Floyd's family as a prop, and I'm not calling George Floyd's family stupid or anything. Like, I get why they accepted the invitation. George Floyd's brother and other family members apparently met with Biden for over an hour. I'm sure Biden, turned on that charm and, gave a bunch of empty platitudes. But they're already unilaterally withdrawing from removing qualified immunity, which would be the most important thing they could do. If police officers could actually be sued personally, civilly, yeah, they'll think twice because it's all about the money. That's what qualified immunity is. It basically prevents the officer who killed the officer who killed Eric Garner live on tape, and so on, from being civilly liable. The police departments could be sued civilly. States could be sued civilly, but not the individual officers. Well, I don't know, Jen, if you're a doctor and you are reckless, you could be sued for malpractice. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many other positions in America can you be sued if you mess up? Or worse, there's intent, there's motive to do wrong. So the Democrats, with full control of the White House, full control of the Senate, full control of the House, they're unilaterally disarming on qualified immunity, basically so that they could cobble some piece of dog shit together that would then have George Floyd's name in it, do a White House ceremony, and then have the media pretend that this is, they love to use these terms, sweeping reform. They did it with the COVID relief bill, which was a Band-Aid to a gunshot wound. It's absurd. It's absurd. And I'm going to keep going, Colin. Over the past year, ending qualified immunity has often been framed as a marquee activist issue, but the concept has long had bipartisan support Following backlash from some centrist members to protest against police brutality, Democrats have been skittish to support any measure that could be used to attack them later as anti-police. And many have leaned into the notion that the legal doctrine is untouchable. The likelihood that a measure to end or even limit the scope of qualified immunity will advance to the final package is growing smaller by the day. So it's absolutely absurd. There's other things that they're watering down too. Hold on.
Smash the like button while you're waiting, guys. Get YouTube to show this to more people.
Right. And one congressperson said this in a statement. If you can find this, Colin, Watson Coleman. In a statement, Watson Coleman said that keeping qualified immunity would be an insult to protesters and voters who helped elect Biden. Despite protests, demands, and elections, unarmed Black people continue to die at the hands of the police, while qualified immunity continues to shield police from accountability, and the culture of excessive force by the hands of law enforcement against Black and brown body persists, she said, adding that the removal of the provision would be an affront to those who marched and those who voted for change, effectively placing a bandage over a gaping wound. In addition to a ban on qualified immunity, the Justice for Police Act policies that may not make it into the Senate bill include making it easier to federally prosecute officers who violate someone's rights. So this might not be in it, making it easier to federally prosecute officers who violate someone's civil rights, and any meaningful cuts to federal law enforcement budgets. It's just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And this is why I say, Jen, imagine. I mean, I'm not telling Black Lives Matter what to do, but imagine if even a quarter of the people that mobilized last year for months also economically protested. That you'd start seeing change really quick. But right now, I mean, I think the main piece in this point, Democrats only care about being reelected. The Democrats don't want to turn off their donors, and they don't want to be looked at as anti-police. Hence, we're going to water this down to nothing while using George Floyd's family as a prop.
I completely agree. I think it's, it's so disgusting how, going back to George Floyd's daughter, how Nancy touched her hair, just like she doesn't, you can tell Nancy doesn't get it. She comes from that generation. This is not an excuse, by the way. You can tell she just doesn't get it. She comes from that generation that's like condescending and like, oh, look at this, look at this black girl, little black girl, how cute. So you can tell she's like that, and that she is like that liberal, just gross kind of person. That's just who Nancy is. Not an excuse at all. She's disgusting. And the face that little girl made is completely spot on. Just like, get off of me, you insane old decrepit white lady. And it is completely spot on, Jordan, that you say that George Floyd's family is being used as a prop by these people. I agree also that I totally understand why they agreed, why Felonious and the family agreed to go meet with Joe Biden. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take the chance to take the ear of the president? Even if you could say one thing that might make a difference, why wouldn't you take that chance? And I obviously, for so many reasons, cannot speak for the family. There are obviously a lot of emotions wrapped up in that, a lot of things they want to have happen. I don't know what their specific hopes and dreams are and the specific things they want to have happen. But if I had to guess or try to put myself in the shoes of a family member who was maybe lost in that way, I don't know. I would give it my all. I would go meet with the president. I would go give it my all. I would give it everything. But for the rest of us, who can view what is happening, they're being paraded around and used. And it is just like the Kente Clock situation. It is using George Floyd's name and saying, oh, look at these convictions we got. Look at this reform we have. And look at all we're doing. Look how great we are, us Democrats. We're the real change. We have Trump out of office now. Everything's just going to be great. Everything's going to be fantastic and just fine. You guys can all go back to sleep. There's no need to worry. The convictions are good. Just don't worry about a thing. And that is what they want to happen. They don't want people to realize that Joe Biden is in favor of giving more money to the police. They don't want people to realize that MPD, the DC police, are getting more money. They don't want people to realize what is actually happening. And what is actually happening is nothing, is none of the demands, zero of the demands that people wanted from these protests. Nothing. Nothing is changing. Nothing has changed. Andrew Brown, Dante Wright, Marvin Scott III. Breonna Taylor has no justice. None. No justice. No justice for so many people, so many names. It's disgusting. I say this all the time when we cover stories like this, whether it's for Black Lives Matter, police brutality, anything to do with people in power who are standing up there and pretending they're doing the right thing, knowing damn well that they're not. I don't know how they do it. How could you be a Nancy Pelosi or a Joe Biden and stand up there and pretend that you're doing the right thing? How could you look felonious Floyd in the eye and pretend that you're doing the right thing for his brother? How could you do that? I don't know how those people sleep at night. I cannot understand the mindset of these evil people who don't think that they're evil, but that know that they're not doing the right thing, that know that they're not doing what they've promised to do. I just cannot wrap my mind around it. These people who answer to their donors and do not answer to the Floyd family, that tap the head of George Floyd's daughter, placating her, condescending to her, and do what they're doing.
And that's a good segue, because I want to show, for those watching, you might have not even known we were live last night, but John went live from a New York City event and march for the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder. Really powerful speeches, really powerful interviews.
Whoa, Jordan, before we do that, we just got an amazing donation here.
Oh, wow. Thank you. What is it? Jean Shahid.
Oh my goodness.
$200. Thank you so much, Jean. We desperately need it right now. That brings us to $350 raised during this live stream. Our goal.
Love you, Jean. You're a true angel.
Our goal for the live stream is 500, so 150 to go, and that's really
shied, by the way, shied.
Oh, Jean, you're the one who sent the amazing. I think she sent the amazing medicine while I had COVID.
And me, she sent me a wonderful care package. Love her.
Indeed. And by the way, full disclosure, Jean. Well, maybe this is TMI, but whatever. So I got off my antidepressant to help me go to the bathroom because I think it was causing my chronic constipation. It definitely helped the number 2 situation. I started going to the bathroom normally, but then my depression came back. I'm actually kind of, how do you say it, Jen? Playing a little hurt. I've been suffering since I've been back from, actually towards the end of my honeymoon and this week, I've been really struggling with depression, which I don't hide that it was under control for a long time. But I'm kind of at the mercy of my mood or my gut, because it seems that this medication really kills my gut and my bowel functions. But when I get off it, it really has made me depressed and feel flat and all that stuff. So the reason I bring that up is because you sent so many wonderful things. So if you happen to be a brilliant person that has an idea for something I could take that will help me go to the bathroom while I stay on medication, please feel free to send me info@statusquo.com. That's not asking for 50 emails, but I need to be on medication, but I also need to poop. So right now, I just started a new antidepressant. It's going to take a little time for it to work, but I've not been feeling myself since I've been back. But I've just been pushing through. So
Jordan needs all of your positive vibes or prayers if that is what you do. I am very mother hen towards Jordan, so send him all of your vibes and prayers.
yes, I've been putting on a face, but I haven't been feeling super. I know a lot of people don't understand depression, but it's kind of like for no reason, just feeling like a deflated balloon. Not, think about it. Think about it how you would know me. If I'm off for almost 3 weeks, normally I'd be chomping at the bit to come back and get back into work, but I wasn't. I was just so deflated, no drive to do anything really. So hopefully it gets a little bit better. I know for a fact the medication is what's constipating me because 2 times I've gotten off it in the last 2 months and I've gone to the bathroom like I was a 16-year-old, which was a good time, and was going every day. But I can't, I can't go to the bathroom but be depressed and lifeless. So, yeah, Gene, thank you for the donation. And if you have any other supplements, vitamins, or other things you'd suggest, info@statusquo.com, info@statusquo.com. Yeah, I always say, like, for people that I keep having to explain it to my father, who means well, but it's like, Dad, if you're a diabetic, you need insulin, right? It's the same exact thing. It's just an imbalance chemically in your head. So it's not like, oh, watch this motivational video, or look on the bright side of things. That's not how it works. You wouldn't say to somebody who's diabetic, or somebody who needs to take blood thinners, like, just take a walk. So that's kind of what depression is. Anyway, I've gone off the deep end here, but I actually have been eating less cheese. I've increased my vegetable intake. I've been having smoothies too. This afternoon, I had a smoothie with strawberries, pineapple, spinach, peanut butter, and chia. I'm on a probiotic. Trust me, I've taken everything. Probiotics, digestive enzymes, Miralax, other stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so.
Yeah. Thanks for the super chat, Trudy, saying, where'd it go? Trudy from Mad Men. Love Trudy from Mad Men. Dear Progressives, by the way, Jordan, you got to catch up and watch Mad Men. Dear Progressives, I will donate $20 to you when you vote for progressive legislation. If you vote against it, I'll donate $30 to your opposition. Thanks in advance. Well, I mean, you do what you got to do, but why would you, if you want progressive legislation, why would you donate to the opposition? Unless you're saying you'll donate to, like, progressive opposition. Right. Then there was another one. The Ranter Station. Go ahead.
James says the only channel where the CEO and the anchor tell us in detail about his gut health. That's why you should watch and support.
Yeah, don't you? Status Poo. We have a, by the way, Status Poo channel on our Discord, just so you know. The Ranter Station, 199 in the super chat. Ask your pharmacist to get a probiotic VSL number 3. That sounds like a very specific one. Interesting. I guess that one's like.
Email me that. info@statusquo.com. info@statusquo.com. I do drink a shit ton of water. Actually, I've been holding in a pee for an hour. So bad move not to pee before the live stream. I drink a lot of water. I take a probiotic.
Gotta get hardcore and just wear a diaper.
Yeah, I take a probiotic.
Spirulina.
I take
spirulina and chlorella.
Probiotic. What else do I take? Digestive enzymes. You sent me what was it? Psyllium husk I've been taking.
Yeah.
So
like 5 things. Take them all.
Yeah. And I don't know. For me, Jen, it's just me. I like when I watch I used to watch the Young Turks, like, back in the day, but I like kind of feeling like, yeah, I like, I don't need to know, like, the people I watch your greatest fear or your favorite color, but I kind of like people that just keep it real. Like, why hide that you're feeling depressed? Why hide if something's wrong? It doesn't
I agree.
make you weaker. And I don't know. I kind of consider this a family and a community, and yeah, so that's why I shared that. So anyway, moving on. Oh, I wanted to show. We went really off the rails. I wanted to show while Nancy Pelosi uses George Floyd's family as a prop, George Floyd's daughter as a prop. As we just showed you, the Democratic Party waters down legislation to actually make police think twice before they execute black men. This is what's going on the streets where we were last night. So keep those donations coming. StatusQuo.live. Colin, if you could play the little mashup you made of John's reporting last night at a New York City event for George Floyd's anniversary of his murder.
We've been yelling and screaming in these streets for 365 days, so we did not pick this day to come out here and be quiet. So Black Lives, Black Lives, say his name, say his name, say his name, say his name.
When we think about the video that we all saw, I'm guessing a year ago, and many more times after that, I think it transformed many of us. I heard Nia talking about how black men cannot be martyrs any longer, and I agree with that. But his death brought us all out here. His death brought us together. His death gave us this practice of hope. We really do have a chance to not just reform the system, but defund from the system and reinvest back into our communities. Whether it's mental health, whether it's our public schools, whether it's affordable housing. And I know you don't want to hear from another politician, but we need to do everything in our power to fight for the change that we deserve to live in.
It's George Floyd Day, and I took some time today to process my emotions. I've been upset with myself that it took George Floyd dying to awaken my fight. That George Floyd's murder allowed me to see the deep-rooted hate, injustice, strategically planned oppression, and purposeful suffering that black people go through because of white supremacy. But when I woke up, so did a lot of other people. I've marched with hundreds of thousands of people. I've attended and organized many demonstrations, and I have been an active voice for black liberation and a better world.
From police brutality to foster youth, to trans lives, to all of these important issues that should not have been at the bottom of the totem pole to begin with. But it's because of all of you and the organizers, especially, who day in and day out, in the hottest days to the coldest nights, as they said in that chant, took to these streets, getting arrested, not for show, not for fun, but for truly people who need representation. And I'm proud to stand with all of these people and be a part of this movement, because without you all, $1 billion would not have left the NYPD's budget, and they would not be having a conversation still about the reform that we need in the police department and all over the world. Even though we still have a lot of work to do, we truly did create change.
I actually feel like breaking down all week. I haven't really had the strength that I usually display when going against the courts, when going against the police, when going against the government that says, shut up and take what we give you. Period. Well, we're not shutting up. In fact, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And until Black lives do matter, we will be here. In every city, George Floyd didn't just get murdered so that we can just lay down. My brother didn't just take his life. He was pushed. And so many others. How many people realize how close we really are? Not just because we come out to these protests, which brings closeness. A lot of people don't even know Sandra Bland is my cousin. Whoa. Our lives is taken, and we don't even realize how close we are to it. Tomorrow I might be hashtag. Tomorrow it might be one of us. So let today count.
Let's be very clear about what has taken place this past year. We saw the death of a man and the truth about a nation that we all should already know. Because history has shown us that before George Floyd, there was Emmett Till.
Eric Gardner.
Before Emmett Till, there were the slave ships that defined us as property. And then after that, we were 3/5, correct?
Yes.
So tell me how it is possible that for 400 years of oppression, 400 years of systemic racism, somehow we have reached a point where one case and the conviction of one officer means that we have undone white supremacy.
Hell no. Incorrect.
We are not going to allow the narrative to continue to be told for us. We are not going to allow you to tell us how to deal with our rage, how to deal with our pain, how to deal with our communities, and what we need. Defund the police. Defund the police.
Abolish the police! Abolish the police!
What is so radical about defunding a relic of slavery? What is so radical about saying that our kids deserve better?
But let me make one thing clear. George Floyd is not a martyr. George Floyd did not want to die. George Floyd did not want to sacrifice his life. So with every corrupt politician today trying to use this 1 year to make George Floyd a martyr, shame on you. Shame on you. Black people don't want to be martyrs. We want to be free. We want to be free. We don't need any more martyrs. We need justice, we need accountability, and we need abolition, because that's the only compromise.
Those that have gone before us, they fought. They fought and paid with their lives just to desegregate the South, just for the right to vote. We are fighting to completely overhaul a system that has been in place for hundreds of years. If you thought we were going to achieve that in a year or even 2 years, you have no idea what you're in.
We're back, I think. So that was John's coverage last night. I think it was live for like 2.5 hours to 150 people. And again, this is why I say, of course, we're us who hurts. I mean, we lost money on it. We got to pay John something decent, right? And nobody saw it. But it's also black people that suffer when, a pretty big crowd like that don't get heard. It is communities that suffer. Obviously, police brutality and things like that, it's getting attention. But if you could change one person's mind just by making that available to as many people as possible, why wouldn't you want to do that? Because you don't see those kind of people speaking on CNN. You don't see or hear or read those people quoted in the New York Times. You hear politicians and, approved organizers, but you don't hear like living, breathing people that are the sitting targets, those black people. So I'm glad we were able to cover it. And it's the thing that really, I'm just going to keep it real. And I've said this to Jen. The thing that frustrates me is like, I feel like as a journalist, I'm just kind of, it's like Groundhog's Day. You're just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting some type of different result, but it's the same types of protests, the same chants, walking around for blocks and blocks and blocks. But in reality, the politicians that are supposed to be listening, the politicians that are supposed to care, are basically looking at it as, let them have their slogans and their marches. Same thing with the corporations. They'll put Black Lives Matter in the window, but that won't actually change their practices. So to me, this all goes back to the same thing we talked about with the mass shootings. We really need a progressive revolt in this country, and I think it starts with young people. And we saw that this is possible with the Black Lives Matter movement in response to George Floyd, to a lesser degree Breonna Taylor. You had millions all over the country marching. Well, we need to do more than march now. At some point, you need to consider shutting down the economy with the general strike, direct boycotts, with the Palestine-Israel situation. Palestinians did a general strike, the first, I think, in many, many years. It didn't obviously change anything, but it over time it can, if you actually stick with some form of economic protest. But in this country, we haven't had that in a very long time, as unions have been devastated. And I don't want to make it a class issue. Obviously, it is black people that are the threat. It's a race issue. But money talks. They killed Martin Luther King Jr., not when he was asking for equal rights, but when he started talking about poverty and jobs and things like that. That's when they killed him. So I really hope the Black Lives Matter movement and other movements, whether it be a general strike, Medicare for all, Fight for 15, I think there's so much overlap. And I think politicians and corporations will start listening, and they will stop, preemptively removing qualified immunity and these other things if they actually think there's going to be political consequences and economic consequences.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's easy, I would say, to sit up here as a journalist and speak from a chair or speak from a position of having a microphone and say, oh, well, protesters, organizers, you should be doing X, Y, Z. Because these are people who give their lives to the cause, and they are doing things more than protesting and chanting. Like, they are actively working and coordinating and speaking with politicians. They're doing things that we don't necessarily see, but on a wider scale, beyond Black Lives Matter marches and beyond things that we might see, it has to go beyond. It can't be, I guess what I'm saying is it can't be on the backs of black people. It can't be on the backs of black organizers. So I guess what I would say, beyond me being a journalist, this is Jen as a person, white people, get out there too. General strike, it has to be white people too. It has to be working class white people too, getting out there on the streets. So let's not put this all on the backs of black organizers or Palestinian organizers or minority organizers. This is a class issue too. This needs to hit the pocketbooks and the bank accounts of companies. As Jordan said, like, it can't be enough for companies, banks, whatever, to just put Black Lives Matter in their window. This has to actually have a financial impact. And so a general strike is, I truly do believe and agree with, the only way real change is going to happen. So it's not, we're not saying, okay, you know, that protest is not enough or that march is not enough. What we're saying is white people get off your asses too. That's me as a person, not as a, you know, as a journalist. It is, I have to separate those things, but that's what it's going to take. That's my opinion. It has to happen. The working classes, which are workers, which is everybody who's not, and basically everybody who's not in the 1%, has to get out there and organize. It has to happen. And I'm seeing that more and more. More progressive people are coming to that realization as well. It all overlaps. I disagree with race reductionists. I disagree with class reductionists. I think it all has to work together. And I do think a general strike is what has to happen.
I do too, but you want to know something? With that general strike, we're going to have to pressure the progressives in the House and the Senate.
Oh, of course.
Because right now, listen, I'll always be a Bernie OGer, but you know, I appreciate what he's done for the progressive movement, but Bernie might as well retire at this point. I'm just keeping it real. Bernie might as well retire at this point. He is doing nothing. I mean, I think, tried to block Israel, the U.S.'s weapons sale to Israel, 735 million, I think it was, Jen. I don't know if it was million or billion.
Weapons, 730 something billion.
Millions,
yeah.
Billion, and then at the last minute, withdrew his hold. That's Bernie. He kind of huffs and puffs, and then he doesn't stand his ground. AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, there's certain specific things they will speak out on and they will stand their ground, but not much on economics and not much on, I mean, they have the power right now to say, no, I'm not giving you a vote for your infrastructure bill or anything like that until qualified immunity. X, Y, and Z. You could put your marker in the ground if you're Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, AOC, all of them, Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, and say, we are not, you want to say Black Lives Matter, you want to use George Floyd and his family as props, then we have control, and this is what we're going to do. If you know, if it's politically palatable to discuss an assault weapons ban, it should be politically palatable to discuss ending qualified immunity, because I guarantee you, Derek Chauvin would have thought twice if he was at risk civilly, in addition to criminally. And I guarantee you, because we're seeing it, a lot of these officers will think twice if they think, oh shit, I and my family could be bankrupted as a result of my heinous behavior. You'll watch the body cam footage with Andrew Brown. They came in like it's a Call of Duty game off that truck with Uzis. They would have hesitated if it was a part of policing that you individually could be held liable. So it's just, the whole thing is terrible. And honestly, I'm just continue covering it, but it's just unfortunate to continue seeing such passionate, powerful people speaking out at these events that we cover, that frankly, very few others are covering. But DC's pretending to care. And this is why I cover the Democrats very critically, because the Republicans have already made clear their animosity towards black people. I mean, it's not a secret, right? Paul Ryan used to say the takers. Who was he talking about? Ronald Reagan, welfare queens, on and on. But Democrats, they pretend to be the party of black people, and black people continue giving them their vote. And I voted for Biden. We all know I gave my reasons. I stand by it, but I never changed my tune. We covered him critically, but black people continue being sold an empty bill of goods. And I got to tell you something. I'm not getting into intergenerational black things, but it's mostly older black people that keep voting for these Democrats. It's mostly older black people that keep voting for these Democrats that are selling black people out. I understand there's reasons for it. You know, black people, just like white people, older generations tend to be more conservative, tend to think we could only have small incremental things. But I really hope something changes because I'm tired of seeing all of these black people executed. And I got to tell you, Jen, as somebody who, when I'm right, you know, right now my mind is kind of off, likes to investigate things. I guarantee you it is a treasure trove of Ronald Green cover-ups out there. Maybe, maybe some smaller, maybe some bigger. How many police tapes exist just like that all over this country of black men being slaughtered and being withheld from the public, or it being put down like George Floyd was put down as a medical incident. That's why he died. So, yeah, we'll continue covering it.
We absolutely will. I am so excited. Thank you so much, Andy Paperno. $50 in our Status Coup.live fundraiser here with our new Streamlabs tip goals thing that we're so excited about. We're raising money to get more in-field reporting equipment. Thank you so much as always, Andy. You are amazing. Thank you. We only have $100 more to go for today's live stream goal. Thank you so much, guys. Keep it coming. Only $100 more. I can't believe it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Oh, get that 100. By the way, I want to respond. Chris Garrett says Bernie is only one man. He got us thus far. We need to take it from here. Yes and no. Yes and no. Because then has the power to shut a lot of things down. And these 7 or 8 people in the House have the power to shut a lot of things down. And it's not just the power they have in their votes. Just like Joe Manchin, if Bernie says no, Biden has to come to Bernie. The Democrats have to come to Bernie. The Democrats can't get the other things they want if Bernie says no on X, Y, and Z. But it also is about galvanizing the movement. Right now, the progressive movement, to me, is deflated and kind of discombobulated. From Bernie's campaign, when you had such massive crowds organizing, that's not going on right now. In part because I think people are deflated after seeing another neoliberal victory. And people just kind of get tired after, campaigning and volunteering and donating and everything. But yes, he's one man. But if you're going to stay in the Senate, he has the power right now. And it's the power to delay legislation or block certain things. He has the power to galvanize the army. And that's what you need to get things done. He galvanized the troops by saying, no, I'm not voting for anything else until $15 wage happens. No, me and my comrades in the House, we're not voting for anything else until real police reform with qualified immunity off the table. And you want to know something? Maybe that stance doesn't get you everything, but it will get you something, because I'm going to just say, okay, then we'll fold up the tent and won't do anything for the next 2 years. So, that they're not doing anything is why we're so stagnant and why Biden is getting away with every week now. It seems, oh no, we're not going to do the $15 minimum wage in this bill. It will be a later bill. We're not going to do a public option in this budget. That will come later. Just today, they're removing out of the infrastructure bill. Colin, if you have that tweet, they're removing out of, I think, the infrastructure bill, a bunch of different climate, a bunch of money that was supposed to go towards climate change. Let me find that tweet. Very fluid, but infrastructure deal with GOP likely cuts out key climate items, ending fossil fuel subsidies, $200 billion to retrofit U.S. buildings/homes, $500,000 for new electric vehicle stations, electrification of the nation's grid, climate resiliency dollars. Jeff Stein writes, is White House confident it could get this later? So one more time, ending fossil fuel subsidies, $200 billion to retrofit U.S. buildings,
Before we dive into the story, can we do a short interjection with the clip from Mimi, the Palestinian? Okay, so before we move on to fourth story, I wanted to show you guys a clip from someone I interviewed in DC, and I think that this is a really important clip for a couple of reasons. As you guys, so Colin, if you could just cue up the minute media clip. So hopefully you guys saw that I was in DC, hopefully. And as you know, we did a lot of reporting on what has been happening to Palestinians at the hands of the IDF, and that the United States is incredibly complicit in this. When I was in DC, there was an amazing protest, and it was arranged by the API community, Asian American and immigrants, but they collaborated, and they kind of together with Black Lives Matter DC and also Palestinian youth to come together, and it was at Black Lives Matter Plaza. And so the whole thing is great. I hope you check it out. But I interviewed a young Palestinian woman named Mimi, and the interview is really inspirational. So again, please check that out. But in particular, I wanted to show you this short clip because I asked her about the propaganda that's coming out there from Israel and from outlets like CNN. And specifically, this was after the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas that supposedly was negotiated by Egypt. I think that there is obviously other stuff. Let's make friends now. No. So, but I asked her, Israel tweeted out one of the official, this image of very happy, peaceful, religious worshippers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is a very, very special place for both Jewish people and Muslim people. So at the same time that the official Israel account tweeted out this very happy picture, they were literally, the IDF, the Israeli military was literally clearing out Palestinians with projectiles, rubber bullets, tear gas, beating people, just beating peaceful worshipers who are celebrating the ceasefire and the fact that Gaza would no longer be bombarded and children. So, and at the same time, literally at the same time, an IDF soldier was beating for no reason a CNN producer. Did CNN report? So I was asking Mimi about this of juxtaposition of the propaganda versus what was actually happening on the ground. And I said, what is to be done about this bombardment of the false narrative of this fake data and what's actually happening, and how do we get beyond this? And so she gave an answer, and that I think you all will really appreciate. This is a short clip, and us being status quo, I really, really wanted you to see it, and this is why we do what we do. Okay, Colin, if you can play that. One of the things that's been so frustrating for me as a journalist, and so I'm sure that means it's 100 times more frustrating for you as a Palestinian, is the propaganda that comes out of Israel, and therefore the propaganda that is repeated by MSNBC, by CNN, by Fox, of course. For example, after the so-called ceasefire, when Palestinians were celebrating at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, they of course cleared them out with tear gas and projectiles, etc. But an official Israel account posted, we allow all faiths to celebrate here, literally posting so-called happy worshipers, literally at the same time that they were violently ejecting folks and beating a CNN producer. And so CNN, of course, did not report that they were beating their producer, and did not report that that was a literal lie. So I guess all that is to say that you are up against a lot. There are so many lies out there. And for me as an independent journalist who seeks to always present the truth and always, present the side of justice, how do people fight this? I mean, you are fighting for your people, and there are folks out there who want to know the truth. So what in your opinion is to be done about this slew of misinformation?
Independent journalists. Independent journalists is my answer. Because again, simply even journalism, the field is not funded as much as it should be. Again, journalists really do not make jack. If I'm being honest, they don't make enough.
I can confirm.
Yep. And again, you have independent journalists who come out here who are reporting the truth. Because a lot of people don't trust media outlets. You will see people in different political spectrums both criticizing, again, all of the media outlets being like, oh, well, when it comes to this, I don't trust this. When it comes to this, I don't trust that. And so again, independent journalists bring they bring on ground information. They bring real, raw, genuine information. And again, footage. You interview people who aren't scripted. You know what I'm saying? And so again, when you have independent journalists, when you have creatives, when you have, again, different art groups, when you have different movements advocating for Palestinians, spreading out the truth, spreading out the messages, because social media has made a change. I will say again, videography, footage, filmmaking, a lot of that has really made a very big difference within our movements, again, within the Palestinian Liberation Movement, within Black Lives Matter movement. It's really amazing what videos can do. I would say again, people in Gaza have been taking videos, sending them over of the bombs dropping, videos of babies with legitimate bullets in their arms, videos of young women and men with blown up legs, blown up arms, rubber bullets. You'll see children crying over their father or their mother's dead body, their brother's dead body. That is all very raw footage. It's not, again, they try to censor it, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. But as more people post, the less likely they can just keep censoring every single person that's posting. And so I feel like, again, despite the media outlets, the very big media outlets not wanting to report the truth because, again, they don't want to risk their funding when that is what journalism is all about. It is about reporting the truth. It is about refusing, again, to report nonsense and, again, not report about the truth, because journalism holds such a strong power within this country. Such a strong power. And again, until we continue, until we call it out for what it is. The 500 bikes are coming this way. We should probably move.
Oh, okay.
Until we call it out for what it is, for, again, Zionism holding such a strong power in this country that media outlets can't even report without being called anti-Semitic, we won't get anywhere. We need to keep pushing this narrative. And I'm actually very, very tired about saying that anti-Zionism does not equate to anti-Semitism.
Right.
Because it should already be just, what is the word? Common sense. It should already be just given.
She is so inspiring. The whole interview is almost 20 minutes long, and in addition to that, she gave a couple of speeches throughout the two different protests that I was at where she was a speaker. I urge you to watch that, but specifically for this portion of the interview, her words are powerful and they're true, and that is why status quo exists. CNN's not reporting this stuff. MSNBC's not reporting this stuff. I was the only media there. I believe actually Chuck Modi was there. I don't think he was there as in media capacity. I may be wrong, but I believe that that's the case. And activists were there filming some things, but I was the only media there. And the next day, where I was reporting on the money, over $20 billion being funneled through Fairfax County, Virginia, which is just miles away from DC, where a third of that goes through the Department of Defense, and Israel has 30 companies there in Fairfax County, and the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority has an office in Tel Aviv, and they host Israel's defense contractors and surveillance companies. So it's a big cesspool so it's not just the $3.8 billion a year we send to Israel. There's also this money being funneled everywhere, and that's not the only case. I was the only media there. Status Quo was the only media there. So what Mimi is saying about the importance of independent media, that is what Status Quo is. Last week, we got an email from indigenous youth near LA, and I sent it to Tina, who lives in LA. Tina Desiree Berg, who you guys all enjoy her reporting. I sent it to her and I said, hey, can you go? And she said, of course I can go. I'm glad to go. She was the only media there. And these indigenous youth there near LA were fighting to save a sacred land from being turned into a parking lot at a local one of the California state universities. We were the only ones there. So what Mimi is saying is so important, and I'll say it again, that is why Status Quo exists. So if you can help us continue to exist, to continue to report in field, please go to statusquo.live and help us continue this important reporting. And yeah, I just really wanted to show you that clip. And please, since no one saw it, take a look at John's reporting from the 1-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. Take a look at my reporting. Take a look at Tina's reporting. Jordan's going to be doing some reporting next week that hopefully we can set up, and we're excited to announce Colin's reporting with the Marvin Scott family and upcoming Memorial Day. So please help us out if you're able to financially at all. Every amount helps. Statusquo.live.
And just to remind you, I mean, we have got up to 200 live viewers. That's the top we had today. And we have 118,000 subscribers. Like, as we speak now, there are channels with way less subscribers than us with more viewers. It's not because suddenly we're not interesting or our subscribers suddenly don't care. It's because our feeds are not being delivered to even the majority of our subscribers. It's really frustrating. I don't have an answer for it. It seems to be a lot worse in the last few weeks than it ever has been. Hopefully it's just a cycle, but we really appreciate every donation. We've raised $400 just during this live stream, trying to raise another 100 because we have additional equipment we have to buy and other costs. So definitely support us if you can. Last story of the day. I want to get to Elizabeth Warren did her usual, theater. I enjoyed the theater because the attack, the pinata she went after definitely deserved it. But, it's Elizabeth Warren, so take it with a grain of salt. Colin, if you have the clip of Elizabeth Warren with J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon. Apparently, Jamie Dimon and J.P. Morgan, and I'm sure the other banks too, during the raging pandemic, felt it's still appropriate to rack up overdraft fees on millions of Americans that were going broke and lost their jobs, and many who got sick. Let's take a look at Warren, who, take it with a grain of salt. It's Warren. She did, last minute get a super PAC and, took big money. But at least in this moment, she was on the right side.
Mr. Diamond, how much did JP Morgan collect in overdraft fees from their consumers in 2020?
Well, I think your numbers are totally inaccurate, but we'll have to sit down privately and
These are-
go through that.
these are public
And
numbers.
I also want to point out, we did not overdraft.
Can you
our Fed
just answer
account.
my question?
We
How
did
much
not
did
overdraft
JP
the
Morgan
Fed.
collect?
We did not overdraft at the Fed account. And at any request,
So
if
you
someone
never,
said they needed,
I'm sorry,
they needed
Mr.
COVID
Diamond,
relief,
that was,
they got
Mr.
$120
Diamond, that
million
was not
COVID
the
relief
question.
on request.
You had an automatic protection. So I'm asking, you were recommended, the regulators recommended you offer that same kind of protection to your customers.
And we
How
did.
much, in fact, did JP
and we
Morgan
did.
collect in overdraft fees from their customers in 2020? Do you know the number?
I don't know the number in front of me, but
Well, I actually have the number
upon
in front of me.
upon
It's
request, we waived the fees.
$1.463 billion. That's nearly $1.5 billion that you collected from your customers. Now, do you know how much JP Morgan's profit would have been in 2020 if you had followed the recommendation of the regulators and waived overdraft fees to help struggling consumers? In other words, without that overdraft money, would your bank have been in financial trouble?
We waived the fees for customers upon request if they were under stress because of COVID.
You know, I appreciate that you want to duck this question. Do you know how much your profits would have been if you'd actually waived overdraft as the regulators recommended?
We waived the fees every time
The
a
answer
customer
is
asked us
your
to
profits would have been $27.6 billion. I did the math for you. So here's the thing. You and your colleagues come in today to talk about how you stepped up and took care of customers during the pandemic, and it's a bunch of baloney. In fact, it's about $4 billion worth of baloney, but you could fix that right now. Mr. Diamond, will you commit right now to refund the $1.5 billion you took from consumers during the pandemic?
No.
Right now?
No.
No.
No, we won't. No, Elizabeth Warren, you could have actually done something about Jamie Dimon. You could have done something about Wall Street if you would have got the hell out of the Democratic primary after you came in an awful, what was it? I think third place in New Hampshire, and put your support behind Bernie Sanders. Could have been a significantly different country right now, with a different president if you would have just put your ego aside, put your little hurt feelings over emojis aside, and got the hell out of the race. Bernie would have won Nevada by a lot more. I think he would have Biden might have lost won South Carolina by a little bit less. More importantly, Biden would not have cleaned up on Super Tuesday. And it would have totally changed the momentum of the race if Warren does the right thing for the progressive movement, if she considers herself progressive and drops out after New Hampshire, fully throws her weight behind Bernie. Frankly, she'd probably be vice president. And progressives would piss and moan about it, but I'd be fine as vice president if it meant Bernie. So, putting all that aside, this man, Jamie Dimon, is such a freak. And JP Morgan, what he said, upon request, we waive the overdraft fees. Give me a fucking break. Of course, that's not true. 1.5 billion in overdraft fees, while JP Morgan was still doing just fine. I'm sure other banks also did this. And it just goes to show you, it never even became a thing, Jen, to cancel the rent. So JP Morgan and other corporations, they got money through the original CARES Act. So they got plenty of money, corporations, I think $3 to $6 trillion in the original coronavirus bailout. But if you were down on your luck during coronavirus, you still got charged overdraft fees. If you are not caught up in your rent, you're screwed. The eviction moratorium's coming up at the end of June. It's just outrageous. And as Biden said, we could read the quote, Colin. This is what Biden told his donors on the campaign trail. Corporate America has to change its ways. It's not going to require legislation. I'm not proposing any. We've got to think about how we deal people back in, i.e., you guys need to, what did Hillary say? Cut it out? That's Biden's way of saying you guys need to cut it out, but I'm not going to make you cut it out. I'm just going to suggest nicely while collecting your checks, you cut it out. It's just outrageous, Jen.
Oh, are you pulling up? Were you pulling up the quote? Okay.
I read it.
I don't know what's happening. Are you waiting for me?
I read it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Elizabeth Warren has made, to put it mildly, some missteps. I waver back and forth because she has these moments where she'll do stuff like this, which seems good. It kind of makes me want to root for her. Here she is going after him, going after Jamie Dimon, and she's holding his feet to the fire, kind of. And this is good. She's saying, will you give this money back to the people? And it's very clear. She does a good job of presenting it this way. Okay, your company has profited by this amount, and you essentially stole this amount of money from the people, from everyday working people. And to anyone watching, it's exceptionally clear. Your company, your rich company, you as a wealthy, rich person, you as a wealthy, rich asshole, you don't need this money. The everyday working class person needs this money. These are overdraft fees. This isn't money that your company earned. This is money you stole. Why can't you give it back to the people? And he just outright says, no. And she's just like, no. So it's a very striking video. And if you condense Elizabeth Warren down to just this video, it's good. Elizabeth Warren in this space is a good Elizabeth Warren. But that's the problem. That's not all Elizabeth Warren is. Elizabeth Warren is the one who is so surprised, and she can't figure out why it leaked, that Bernie supposedly said that a woman couldn't become president. Oh, from her new book. She doesn't know how that leaked. What a surprise. She stayed in and ruined, as you just said, not in these words, she ruined Bernie Sanders' chances of becoming president, and therefore ruined the hope for legitimate progressive change in this country. That was selfish of her. That was wrong of her. She spent most of her life being a Republican, and it wasn't like, oh, she was young and grew up in a Republican household. I grew up in a batshit crazy Republican household with like these nutso like Christian, evangelical Christian parents. Well, one segment of my life was that. And so I thought that was the right thing. And I was taught that Democrats were evil. Like, my family boycotted Chick-fil-A and Target, for example, that kind of thing. So I was indoctrinated in that, and I thought Democrats were evil until it was like, wait a second, no, that's insane. Like, I like people, I care about people. Clearly, Republicans do not. And so I came into my own fairly young, but Elizabeth Warren did not. She spent most of her life as a Republican until pretty recently. And that's okay. People can change. That's just fine. But Elizabeth Warren also, you have to take the person on the whole. And when you take Elizabeth Warren on the whole, it's not just her holding Jamie Dimon's feet to the fire, which is good. It's also this other stuff where she backtracks, where she doesn't go far enough, where she doesn't go far enough on Medicare for all, or backtracks on how far she's willing to go. And I don't believe she's truly a progressive. I think she's progressive as far as it might get her in the Bernie Sanders world, and it didn't get her that far because her true colors were shown. And so I mean, I don't know what to say. This is a good clip, like good for her. Nothing's probably going to happen. Nothing will happen. And yeah, and so the world keeps spinning and Jamie Dimon keeps getting richer and the rest of us continue to suffer.
Not to mention, apparently, Democrats are giving a $10 billion bailout to Jeff Bezos's Space Force, or his little space company. So Jeff Bezos needs $10 billion because apparently, I don't know, whatever government agency gave the bid to somebody else other than Jeff Bezos' space company. So now they're creating another $10 billion to give to Jeff Bezos' space company. I mean, it's just outrageous. And it goes back to what we've been talking about. Nothing's going to change. I hate to tell you, folks, nothing's going to change unless people come together with their wallets and shut this economy down. That really is what has to happen. Because I got news for you. The Democratic Party right now is going to continue moving further and further away from their promises, frankly, further and further to the right. And what they're going to do is they're going to essentially elevate Marjorie Greene Taylor or Taylor Greene and batshit people and just make the midterms about, well, you want to put these people back in the majority? And a bunch of other woke identity, prey on people's same thing they preyed on with, Trump versus Biden. Like, this is an existential threat. Now's not the time. And it's always going to be now's not the time. And I got news for you. I mean, I genuinely do not see myself in 2024. I don't even care. I don't care who the Republican is. I just don't see myself voting for this again. Because in the case of Trump and Biden, I did it for specific reasons, but this is Groundhog's Day. This is Groundhog's Day. Biden is doing exactly what Obama did. Sure, the COVID relief bill was somewhat better, but $15 minimum wage, nope. Public option, nope. There's zero protection for permanent protection for evictions, foreclosures, same category. There's no permanent protection for evictions and foreclosures. And when the pandemic is over, and according to CNBC, the economy is doing better now, they're not going to do a damn thing. I mean, there's other things that Biden is moving away from. Before I was telling you, they're already in the infrastructure bill compromising on things for specifically to fight climate change, which was something AOC, Bernie, and the task forces bragged about, that Biden's climate plan is wonderful. Well, now he's giving away the store on climate. So I think, I don't know the answer, but I really think progressives need to wake up. There needs to be a pressure campaign on our progressive people, AOC, the squad, all them. And frankly, we need to be protesting everywhere. Corporate media, Jamie Dimon, the whole system is a disaster. And honestly, I kind of feel like it's deja vu, and we're living in 2009 and 2010. The media has made it like, oh no, Biden's doing more than Obama did. I mean, if you consider Band-Aids, sure. But I mean, they're even calling it now an Obamacare public option that he might do. It's an Obamacare public option. You don't even hear about it anymore. And as we talked about, they're watering down police reform, which again, I don't think this could be reformed, but qualified immunity would definitely be a deterrent. So what are we getting? We're getting a bunch of bullshit. We're getting a bunch of Mitt Romney flip-floppery and no progressive opposition at all. While the media fixates still on Trump. It came out yesterday. There's a grand jury now that's going to be meeting 3 days a week for the next 6 months. Possible criminal charges against Trump. It's important. Great. I'd love to see Trump in jail. But that's what the media is going to be covering. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the January 6th Commission. Listen, it's horrible what happened. Horrible. I think, I'm glad people are being held accountable that stormed the Capitol and tried to do harm. Even though the politicians we don't like, it's still not okay. But we don't need a commission. We don't need this to be the focus in my view, a commission.
I think we need I disagree. I think we need a commission, but I don't think it should be the focus of media.
We need a commission on reparations. We need a commission on this and a commission on that. I think we.
Well, there's a lot of complicity in the law enforcement that we need to investigate.
Okay, that's fine, but it doesn't need to be covered 24/7.
No, yeah, right.
I mean, that's really what they're talking about. The fight over the commission. Meanwhile, people are going to be evicted. People are already actually starting to be evicted in the Bronx. I sent out an email or two about that today to interview folks. So it's terrible. I wish I had a better rallying cry for you, but we'll continue covering it and calling it out. And frankly, I really hope, if there is a strategy, it's never too late to grow a pair. So I really hope the progressives in the House, Bernie, start saying, okay, the time to be diplomatic is over. They're moving further and further to the right. We're going to start raising hell and blocking shit. If you do that, at least the progressive movement can be awoken, because I think the progressive movement right now is kind of like a sleeping bear. I really do. So, anything else?
Yep.
Am I missing?
Yeah. So, I hope that we continue to raise the additional $100 on our statusquo.live. But Colin, additionally, I want to make sure that people saw this incredible promo that Abby Martin just popped in at the end of the interview I did with her a couple of weeks ago now. So Colin, if you could play that for us.
Can't endorse status quo enough. I love what you guys are doing. It's so different. You look at the range of alternative media right now, and it's a lot of it's based on clicks and algorithms and what feeds the algorithm. And you guys are just doing something completely out of the box. And I love you for it because it's so rare. And how sad is that real on the ground reporting is this rare. And thank you. Thank you for your work, Jen. Thank you so much, and keep it up. And that's why I'm a member of Status Quo.
Yay! The feeling is of course absolutely mutual. Yeah, so everybody, if you are not already a member, please join statusquo.com/join, statusquo.com/join. It's just $5 a month. And you get great perks behind the scenes. I just put up a behind the scenes today. Oh, good. Donnie Posner says, was a great interview, one of the best. She was wonderful, had fantastic insights, and I definitely checked that out. It was very kind of her. And she is, in fact, a real life Status Quo member. She joined of her own accord. But I put up a members video, which is one of the perks, a video diary. So to give you a sneak peek, I, by chance, met and got to know a trans Black woman who is homeless in DC. And I share that experience with you all. That video diary is about 10 minutes long, and I'm forever touched and changed, I think, by this experience. And I think, I hope you all check it out. And also, you get access to our Discord chat. It's just for members only, so there are no trolls in there, and it's a great place for members to chat. So statusquo.com/join, $5 a month. There are other options that you can join at to help support us. Membership is how we are sustained. It's monthly income that we can count on, and obviously we can't count on YouTube. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we can only count on us. And so this is our business model. This is how we are a company. So if $5 is swingable for you per month, skip the Starbucks or the whatever. Obviously, I'm not talking to you if this is not financially feasible for you, but if it is, statusquo.com/join. You get great perks like the video diary I just mentioned. Abby Martin fully endorses us. So please join us, statusquo.com/join.
Indeed. And I think that'll wrap it up for the day. This wonderful live stream. It was an intimate live stream. Small.
It was a wonderful live stream. Just, screw YouTube. It has nothing to do with us.
So, be back tomorrow. Definitely, like Jen said, consider becoming a member if you can. We're going to do a members call. I don't know. Probably next week, because I committed to something already for tomorrow. But yeah,
we'll figure out the day. And for those who don't know, the members calls are great. They're such a great perk. What we do is we get on a Zoom chat, and all members can join in. Jordan and I call in, Tina sometimes, John sometimes, the crew. And we get on, we fill you in on the behind the scenes information. For example, we've been trying for months and months to get this Flint story out, this latest Flint story out, which has really, really incredible information that is truly holding truth to power, shall we say. Some powerful people do not want this out. So we'll give you some behind the scenes on trying to get this story out, behind the scenes about the company, the direction we're going, ups and downs. And then we answer your questions, your most burning questions, kind of, like they do Reddit AMAs. Well, this is a status quo AMA. So you'll hop on Zoom with us. We chat, we get to know each other. It's so great. So that's yet another one of your perks. Statusquo.com/join. We will let you know when that is, as Jordan said, sometime next week, but we'll set that date.
Yep. All right. Thanks everybody for watching.